We're gonna get this timing right one
We're
day.
getting this timing right. So, hey, Facebook family, here we are, back outside in beautiful Napa. It's a gorgeous fall day. Officially, it's fall time.
Yes.
September 21st is the first day of fall.
Oh,
Today's the 22nd. I have to give a huge shout out to none other than the beautiful, amazing Lee May Mack. Happy birthday, girl.
happy birthday, Lee May.
Uh, Fabulous to be back out here in the beautiful weather. The air quality is finally good enough for us to sit back outside. Fires are not all out everywhere,
No.
but it is improving. So a special shout out to all those first responders out there, near and dear to my heart as a nurse. First responders and nursing and medical personnel, we all go hand in hand. So big shout out to you. Also want to give some respect out to Ruth Bader Ginsburg in her passing. Rest in power, Ruth. Absolute amazing work that you've done throughout your life around gender equality and throughout the show today. I'll read a couple of quotes attributed to you and the work that you've done. In the first one says, I read every federal case that had to do with women's equality or the lack thereof, and every law review article. Now that seems like it was quite an undertaking, but it was, in fact, an easily manageable job because there was so little. We should each be free to develop our own talents, whatever they may be, and not be held back by artificial barriers. So that's just one of many that I'll read today as we have some dialogue. So I'm Kim Brown Sims. You have arrived at Pricked Live, and this is my companion, friend, and co-host, Kevin Bowen.
Well, hello, Facebook Live. Good to see you once again. Thanks for joining us today or this week, whenever you get a chance to view us. I want to come back to, as much as possible, the subject of RBG today. Kim, I know she was a hero of yours. So as we get rolling, I'm going to ask you to speak more to that. But yeah, really excited to be here. I echo Kim's thoughts about our first responders. What an amazing job they are all doing. This is we talk about we used to talk about fire season. Now we're euphemistically calling it dry season, but it doesn't change the fact that a lot of lives are at stake this time of year, and there are people who are running towards the danger rather than away from it. I really have to give kudos to all of those firefighters and other first responders for the work they do. So thank you all very much.
I'm going to encourage Kevin to speak loudly because he has a tendency, I'll move the speaker a little closer to him, to be very soft spoken, which is one of the things that attracts people to you is your mild manner. But don't let it fool you. He carries a very big stick.
Big stick.
So we are going to have the pleasure today of being joined by a dear friend of mine. His name is Jeff Edwards, Thomas Jeffrey Edwards, and he is lovingly known as Jeff the Bartender. So I met Jeff when I was living in San Luis Obispo. He works at a fabulous restaurant. I'm going to give you a plug here, guys. Cafe Roma there in San Luis Obispo, and it happened to be right on my route home from work. And so when I wanted to stop and have dinner and not go home and have to cook for myself, I would stop and have dinner in the bar area. And I quickly got to know Jeff, and we became fast friends. So I'm really, really looking forward to Jeff. He's a pop-up guest today. He's in the midst of filming a show. He does a show every year on his birthday. He's quite theatrical. Does a show every year on his birthday, and because of COVID this year, he is just going to be filming video vignettes and then put it out for everyone who wants to participate in that in our new virtual world to be able to see. So he's going to join us as soon as he can. He's been filming all day today, and I'm especially excited for Jeff to come on air. One, he started a nonprofit called Candles for Kids, which I will let him explain the gist of, but it's a remarkable effort that he's putting forth for disadvantaged kids. And the other story he's going to tell us is about coming out and how vitally important it is to be accepted for who you are and what you're about, with no, again, to Ruth Bader Ginsburg's point, with no artificial barriers being put in front of you. And no, let's fit into this vanilla box in order to be accepted, which seems to be a theme throughout our conversations of late. Kevin, I'm going to comment on the fact that you have a book over there that I also have on my bookshelf. It's called How to Be an Anti-Racist by, I'm not going to say his name right, Ibram K. Kennedy. Is it K or X? It's X.
It is X. Kennedy.
Ibram.
Yeah.
X Kennedy. How are you finding it so far?
You know, it's a starting out to be a very powerful read. I'm about 30 pages into it. How have you gotten into it?
I'm about the same distance
Okay.
into it. So, I mean, we'll probably be able to delve into it a little bit deeper, but I'm very interested in having this dialogue based off a conversation that I had with my 23-year-old daughter yesterday.
Oh boy.
I am absolutely amazed by the younger generation and their ability to embrace what's going on in this world and really want to make change, really taking steps to change the verbiage, the language that we're using, the way we, in McKenna's case, the way we grade, removing the stigma of white privilege and how it has permeated pretty much everything. And, you know, I am thrilled that I get to learn from her, and she is quick to educate me on the things that I say that are wrong, and about intersectionality, and, you know, my desire to be helpful, to be seen as the white savior complex. I'm learning a lot. I am learning a lot, and for me, it's really just a matter of opening doors wherever I can open doors.
You know, as you touch on the book and specifically the thought of white privilege, that's one thing that I wanted to highlight. I wasn't planning on speaking about it today, but since you mentioned
I
it,
brought it up,
yeah.
so why not?
It's really interesting how he, again, I'm only 37 pages into the book, but he says something interesting here on page 18. He's talking about racism versus neutrality. Can't really speak into that, but versus anti-racism. He says that there are three camps, but he attempts to describe racism. He says you can't have racism without having racist policies. He talks about the difference between racist policies versus the terms structural racism, systematic racism, and where's the third one? Anyway, the idea is that those terms are so broad and not personal, where racist policy puts a face to it. Someone created a policy that is racist in nature. I find that fascinating. I never thought about it that way. I've often thought about institutional racism and where it's led us as a country. But this concept of actually naming it, putting a face to it, calling it for what it is. Someone wrote a policy, a doctrine, to keep a race of people, a class of people down,
Right.
Which is far more interesting a topic than just talking about this nefarious they kind of thing.
So I love that. And do you, off the top of your head, can you think of a policy specific to that? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but did you have something in mind when you read that?
Yes. Well, I'll talk about what something that I read in another article this morning, talking about the racist policies as they apply to housing and FHA loans, how that whole system was created, and how it was inherently racist from its inception. So it was a federal government program that codified a policy of racism in how and where, in this case specifically, blacks could purchase homes. It's a fascinating topic, and there are books written about it. And the article I was reading today, I'd heard stories, anecdotal tales of this type of racism. In fact, one of them is someone I was talking to you about a few weeks ago. His name was Brian Copeland. Has a wonderful book. He's a local radio figure and comedian, but he talks about redlining is the term, where they redlined areas where blacks were not allowed to purchase. And he talks about that in his story, moving to, I believe it was Alameda. So very, very close to home. So yeah, there are, I'm, I'm very interested to dig into this topic and see how much closer it is. My parents were both Air Force, so they didn't, I don't believe they had a problem purchasing once they moved. Also, well, yeah, moving to California and being, having, stripes on their sleeves,
Right.
certainly was helped. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, being part of the federal government, but even within the military, there were
Oh,
issues
yeah.
with
Oh, absolutely.
segregation as well, and
Absolutely.
inequity.
Yeah.
Kevin, relate to me the story of your mom in military. I didn't realize that she was also in the Air Force.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tell me what she
did. Mother. So
we'll delve into that comment. That was loaded right there.
Love my mother, but yeah, what an indomitable figure. For all intents and purposes, one of the sweetest people in the world, but she was a mother. And she raised us with a firm hand. So my parents met in the Air Force, and I can't tell the story and do it justice. I'll wait until we get Karen back on. But my parents, mom's from Pennsylvania, dad's from Oklahoma. They met in the Air Force in Texas. He made a very short proposal. Again, great story, but Karen can tell it much better. So they married and traveled several years together, had 4 children. I'm the youngest of 4. Mom actually retired from left the Air Force active duty and went civil service. And those are the years that I remember. So when they were stationed at Travis Air Force Base, Mom worked in the base hospital in the mailroom.
Oh.
And so I got to visit her frequently, especially during the summer, and just kind of hang out on base. It was a very safe place, especially there in the bowels of the hospital, David Grant Medical Center.
That is so funny. So was that the old hospital?
The old hospital, yeah.
Yeah. So, again, Kevin and I have known each other forever. And I lived on base. We've talked about this on Roberts Drive for a year.
Yeah.
Let's see, 2 years, because I went to first grade and second grade on base. And then third grade, I moved, we all moved, obviously, to Fairfield. And that's when you and I met, right? At Dover Elementary, or was it Crescent?
Crescent.
At Crescent. Yeah. So we were 4th grade then.
Yeah.
But David Grant holds so many poignant memories for me. So my dad was in ICU there when I was in, well, first of all, I slipped on my skateboard and broke my what we thought was my elbow at the time, and I was taken to David Grant to be patched up. I think that was my first true hospital experience.
Yeah.
And my dad was in ICU there. My mom actually was diagnosed with cancer there. My father actually died in that hospital, and I actually have done moonlighting in their neonatal ICU. So that hospital, old and new, has been prevalent in my family's life. And to find out that you were also running around in that hospital, when you were little, and the old hospital no less as well, which I have, quite the history of. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that we have that commonality, in addition to the commonality of being the youngest child.
Yeah.
because that comes with its own perks and
Yes.
trials and tribulations. Which we might want to talk a little bit about the premise of this podcast. What do you think?
Sure.
This Facebook Live, it's not really a podcast. It's a Facebook Live. I call
Right.
it a podcast, but maybe someday.
Yeah, we really should talk about overcoming pricks.
Oh my God, he is not going to let this go. So I came up with a 30-second spiel about pricked. You want to hear it?
Yes.
Okay. So it's really about my involvement, prick. Like if somebody says to me, Kim, what do you do? I'd say, I am a catalyst for edgy conversation about the pricks that prick you and how to keep from getting stuck.
Oh, yes.
And my name is Kim Brown Sims, and I have a question for you. And that question is, do you get the point?
Very nice. Very nice.
So you want to talk about pricked and what it is that we're doing. And let me also say that when I say that I'm a catalyst for edgy conversation, edgy stands for equity, diversity, justice, and inclusion.
Okay. Oh, all right. Different spelling. Nice.
It's a different spelling.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So the conversation started with Kim raising a question about a book initially, but now a movement. And how do we grow from situations or people that have negatively, for the most part, impacted our lives? How do we grow from that? How do we overcome those obstacles and negative situations and people? Which is why I prefer the term overcoming pricks.
Yeah.
I totally understand Kim's side of it.
It's not just my side. It's me back. You grow,
Yes,
right? You
yes.
evolve, and
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that I feel that there's more of a story when you talk about overcoming pricks.
So it's true, except for if you think about it, it's true, and it grows, right? When you say that you are overcoming overcoming pricks, it means that you've given them the power. When you say you've been pricked, you say it's happened, and now this is what I'm going to do about it. And so, the idea that we own our lives, it goes right back hand in hand to that old adage of if you, okay, I'm at a certain age and I forget, like my train of thought, I had it was a clear point. So let's see, we were talking about giving your power away. Oh, I don't know, it's gone.
We need to take more notes.
That thought was right there. It was just flowing with me, and then I don't know. I got distracted by a shiny object somewhere.
Squirrel.
It's got squirrel. We are in the backyard. There's a squirrel that runs along here. But anyway, when you are pricked, if you stand in your power and you say, yeah, this happened to me, and yet I'm going to utilize that information either as knowledge to know not to do that thing again or to engage with that individual again, or you take that information and you say, you know what? Screw you, F you. I'm going to take that and just, blow it out of the water. Now watch me. I mean, that's what several of our guests have said is that, they've had they've taken that stimulus and said, this is my fuel. This is my fuel to catapult me to the next level.
Well, let me ask you on that point of that entity or person being the power. Isn't it in most cases true that you're overcoming a power structure, a powerful person, a manager, supervisor, an institution, or a law? Isn't that power inherent in the conversation?
So it's a brilliant point you brought up. It's poignant. Are you overcoming them? Do you have the power to impose your will on that person, or do you have the power to take that information and take steps to make change? thereby not directly impacting that person. You're not directing the energy at that individual. You're not getting back at that individual. You're saying what has happened here is a reflection of a broken process or system, and I'm going to take action to correct that process or system. So what it does is it depersonalizes the issues that are inherent, racism, sexism, things that have happened to me in my past. It depersonalizes them and says, we have to attack this at the root cause, which is the process, the policy, the rules, the regulations, whatever is acceptable.
Right.
So that's really for me, that's what we're getting at.
So you're talking about, I think we're talking about the same, two sides of the same coin. I'm not advocating necessarily that what we're trying to do, well, no, I take that back. Let me rethink this. We are talking about ultimately changing systems.
Yes.
But,
language and the way we act and
right. But it starts with changing ourselves. This is all about personal growth and how do we change how we think about the situation. Because in reality, I can't change a person. I can only change me and how I react to you. But as a group, as a catalyst for change, we can affect systems and policies over time.
Agreed, because if there are, and our guest is here, so I'll get up in a second and let him in, but if there are enough of us who have found a common cause and decide that the process that has caused that prick to occur in our lives needs to be changed. If there are enough of us who come together to say, this is what we can do, this is what we should do, then we can take that energy and apply it to making that change.
Gotcha.
That's what this is about. It's a movement about creating change based off of common experience. Okay, we're going to let Jeff in. Jeff Edwards, are you there? I see you. We can't hear you yet. It looks like it's working on letting your audio in.
Oh, there we are.
Nope.
There you are.
Hello, Jeff.
Hi, how are you guys?
Great, thank you.
Gosh,
better now.
Fabulous.
Yes,
Jeff
it's good to see you,
Edwards,
Kim.
I just want to give you big hugs.
I miss you. It's so good to see you.
I miss you too. Oh
I dressed my background up for you guys a little bit. Look at that.
Are you an insect in the lawn? What is that?
They have this virtual background you can choose from when you sign on. It was this or space, and I'm always in space, honey, so I thought I'd be down on the ground for today, you know?
Oh, my
Lovely.
Goodness. Jeff, this is one of my dearest friends, Kevin Bowen.
Hello.
Hi, Kevin. It's a pleasure to meet you.
This is Tucker.
This is
Hi, Tucker.
Can you see this? This is
I
my
can see
baby.
Tucker, yeah. Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh. So your hair looks good, too, Kim. I like the blonde.
Well, thank you very much. You know why I went blonde, Jeff, is because the grays are becoming more prolific. So I need them to blend in a little because my intention is just to go gray gracefully, you know?
I colored my hair last night, honey. I did it good.
Well, you're filming all day today.
We did. We filmed all day. It was wonderful.
Oh, I know. You're just in your element when you're in front of the camera like that.
It's a lot of fun. We're having a blast. So, my party every year.
I know.
I have to share something with you real quick. I was getting myself a glass of wine for this.
Well, look at you.
Endeavor. Well, I didn't know that Autry
What
Cellars
is it?
makes brandy, and they put it in a wine bottle. So I thought it was rosé. It's brandy. I'm like, I hate brandy.
Oh my goodness. Well, careful because by the end, we still need you to speak coherently by the end of the show.
Oh, I'm okay. That's my first sip of wine for the day, darling.
What brand is it?
What brand is
Autry
it?
Cellars. It's local out of San Luis Obispo.
Okay.
What Cellars? I didn't hear.
Autry Cellars.
Autry Cellars. Oh, right.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Facebook world, this is what's a good descriptor for you, Jeff? The vivacious, audacious gregarious.
Loud and
Jeff.
fun and unapologetic, I guess. I don't know.
That's right. Oh, I love that. Jeff the bartender. That's your brand. I know
It is,
him
but
lovingly.
you started that, Kim.
I know. You can tell that story. You go
I
ahead.
have this
Tell
big
that
birthday
story.
party every year, and one year we went all out. We wrote a musical about my life, and it was like standing room only. Like, what did I say? There was like 300 people there. We
Yeah,
had
it was
playbills, we had full sets and costumes, and we had Miss California. Former Miss California was in it, but Kim decided Jeff the bartender needed to be a brand. She went out and bought 200 T-shirts that says "I know Jeff the bartender," and gave one to everyone that came to my musical that night. It was wonderful.
Wow.
We now have a
Wow,
store
very
online.
nice.
We have a store online. You can get it in any color, any shape, any size. It's Jeff the
It's
bartender.
not my store. It's his store.
But she started it. So, yeah,
Okay, so
wonderful.
here's the reason why. So when you talk about every person is a leader by their words and actions, there is no example of that than Jeff Edwards, than Jeff the bartender, because Jeff works as a bartender, but he is so actively engaged and involved in the community, and he so genuinely cares about every person that he encounters. Like, his whole premise in life, Jeff, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from my perspective, your whole premise in life is to enhance everyone's life, individually and collectively. Like, no matter who is who is having whatever struggle or where they are in their life or whatever they're celebrating, you are right there to hold them up and lift them up and make whatever is happening either better, or if it's a celebration, just beyond, belief.
I'm one of those people. I'm a strong believer that everyone has a path they walk every single day in life, and you have no idea what those paths are encountering every single day. And I just know people are going through some really hard times, especially now. So, like, every time a person walks in the bar, or every time I see someone that I know, just those little things. Like, I always pay attention to what girls' hairs look like. When they get a haircut, I'm like, your hair looks so good. I know you just got it done. And she looks at her husband and like, see? But you have to take those moments to really pay attention. Don't just say it. You have to actually be it. And I'm a firm believer that people deserve the kindness in this world that people are not giving them. And I believe that it's important to do that,
So Jeff, I just absolutely adore you. You know that. I think that your heart is bigger than an entire community's heart. And so there's just so much I want to share with the world about you. I guess we'll start with the fact that you have put together this amazing nonprofit to help kids, and I want you to talk a little bit about that, but I also kind of want you to talk about how important it is to be who you are and to celebrate individuality, and how beautiful individuality is, and kind of how that ties into your nonprofit as well. But
when I wrote that musical that one time with Chris Fazio, I always said everybody's life could be on stage. Everyone could write a musical of their own. People are just too afraid to do that, because every single life to me is important. I was at Michael's one day reading a book. It was called Write Your Own Story. And it's a book about you fill in the blanks. My mom's name is this. My dad's name is this. I had my favorite birthday party I ever had was you had to describe it. I got to that thing. I thought, what about kids that have never had a birthday party? I thought, how are they going to finish their book? And I always had the biggest birthday parties ever. And I was doing these parties as I was going along, and they grow every year because people get to be a part of something where I always describe the parties as you have people that are millionaires sitting next to people that work for McDonald's. And the common denominator is love. I don't ever discourage or discriminate. Everyone is important. Everyone's life is important. If someone walks in the restaurant I work at, I have a crap load of stuff in my car to decorate a table for them, to celebrate them. Each and every person's life should be celebrated, and that's important to me. We did. I mean, Kim got a couple of things in her front yard.
It seemed like there was a celebration every time I turned around. And actually, I'll just tell the whole entire world that Jeff put together the most fabulous 50th birthday party for me. Like, it was so over the top. I wish I had the pictures like right here and now. I should have pulled those up to
The
put
cake,
his
the
backdrops
cake was
here.
so cool.
That cake was over the top amazing.
I went shopping for one high heel shoe because Kim liked shoes, and I had this bedazzled K put on the cake, and it was so beautiful, just like your invitations, but it was so beautiful. But see, all these celebrations take me back to those kids again, where they're the kids that don't get to have to celebrate stuff because they have parents who aren't well off, or they're born into a family situation that is not their choosing. And so my whole thing was to celebrate children who are less fortunate by throwing them the birthday party that they've always dreamed of.
Nice.
And we do that. And the first little girl, it was so touching. Her mom and dad both committed suicide, and she's 9 years old. Her brother, who's 2 years older, found them both. They both hanged themselves a year apart. So this little girl went to live with her grandma, who works at Walmart, and little Indian lady, very fragile and frail, and she had to sell her home because she had to move out because she was living in a senior complex. They don't allow children. So they're on the streets. They found a place. She sold all her everything she had, invested in Walmart. I guess they have some good like retirement stuff like that and 401k. She sold it all and got a home for her and her granddaughter the day before they had to be out. And so we threw a birthday party for her, and it was so, I mean, people were just bawling. I took her and her grandma, I gave them makeovers and got their hair done and new outfits for them. And when her grandma came out, she goes, I felt beautiful. I mean, to me, grandma was a hero here. I had a party for both of them, you know, because it was just so special. But just to see the look in their eyes, grandma said, you know, at Christmas time, we got a sock with a tangerine and some nuts and candies in it. And that was all we knew. So that was a big deal to us. But to see her eyes when, I mean, her outfit was like, I think it was like $250. I said, I don't care. Get it for her. Right. That's what she wanted. People, that's what people wanted. They're contributing to a cause that does that for people. And not one person I told that to had a problem with it. So, I mean, you know, we didn't do that every time, but each case is different. But that was just really special to me, you know?
Absolutely.
Wow. That's amazing.
I've seen some of the stories that you've posted on Facebook Live, and of course, you know, heard some of the amazing tales. And I would also like you to talk about the fact that when you reach out to the community that you've created, the community you live in for one, but then also the community that you created, how responsive they are.
It's weird, Kim, because like I have friends from high school from 30 years ago that were sending gifts. I said, I need a gift for a set of twins. They said, people send me gifts to my house for these kids, you know, and then like I do, like we have my own birthday parties, and I like to throw a party, but I make it about everybody that's there. Everybody is celebrated. Everyone feels that. I think 2 years ago, people gave me $65,000 worth of stuff, a $30,000 rental. We had food from 8 countries and 7 wineries, and gifts for everyone that walked in the door. I mean, it was, people really rally around it because they like to celebrate life without all the little hiccups that go along with it. You know, you get dressed up, it doesn't cost a fortune because it's a community effort. And when people come together like that, they can move mountains. It's really magical to see, and to be someone who can coordinate that and get to see every aspect of it, it's really life-changing for me. And sometimes I get emotional, like a little bit, you know, I start teary-eyed like I'm doing right now. But it touches me in a way that I'm very blessed, you know. I moved into a house this last year during COVID. Who gets a house given to them during COVID, like a 4-bedroom house? Kim, this is mine now. A lady's 87 years old because she appreciated my kindness. She leave it to me in her wheel, you know, and then she's like, who does that kind of stuff? So kindness really goes a long way, and it comes back to you tenfold. And you don't do it for those reasons, but when it does, you just wonder why more people don't act that way, you know?
I hear you. I absolutely hear you. And it's exactly what you're saying. You know, if you come from a place of kindness and love, you do get it back tenfold, and you don't go into it for that reason. You just do it because it's the thing that you want to do from your heart. You're giving from your heart. You know it's the right thing for those people. You're just helping those people in need. And, you know, I keep referring back to the Book of Joy that is a collaboration between the Dalai Lama, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. You know, and they talk all the time about if you focus on the things that are getting you down, those things that get you down will become your focus. Right. They become your life, right? If you focus on what others may need, or how you can help, or how you can be kind to somebody else, then the world becomes a kinder place, right? You're paying it forward. And that's exactly what you do and have been doing. And, you know, I've only known you, what has this been, 4 years, maybe 5 years now? I can't even tell. I don't even remember. It feels like
when I met you, I think 48 or 49.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, so it's going on 6 years then.
No, maybe it's 3,
Oh,
Kim.
Time flies.
Wink, wink,
Oh,
3 years.
Wink, 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 wink. Yes, it's only 3 years. All I can say, Jeff, is that I feel like we are kindred spirits, and I've known you for a lifetime.
I know.
Because the spirit, the light that you put out, right, that's what you get back. What you put into the world is what you get back.
Oprah Winfrey.
So I've just been jabbering.
You get what you give. The whole karmic thing is important. And I look at people who are not doing the right path, and they don't know any other way, you know? And so what you try to do for those people, like, you know, sometimes God talks to me in weird ways. Like I'll go to, you know, I feel like sometimes I was stopping at a gas station the other day, and I saw a lady struggling. I thought she needs someone just to turn it around. So I went to the cashier. I said, whatever she puts in her tank, just tell her it's paid for.
Right.
I put her money in, and I went outside and I grabbed her and I said, honey, can we pray? I was watching her. I said, I want to pray with you. And we prayed. She just lost it. She goes, you have no idea what that meant to me. But sometimes if you just have your senses about you and you see people that are struggling or having a hard time finding that positive nature, you have to go and give it to them, because that's what we're all here for, is to bring each other through the hard times as well as the good times. And so I'm very, very blessed to be able to sense those kind of people out there. And we all have that about us, but some of us are so wrapped up in our own little pities, like you said, our own sorrows, that we don't focus on those things. And
right. Well, you know, and I'll just say that, you know, the whole idea behind the concept of pricked is we all have them. Every single one of us. You've been pricked. I've been pricked. Kevin's been pricked. Everybody in this world has encountered a prick and been pricked by something, whether it's a person or. Oh my God, right? And so, but the reality is that it's what we do with it. And I say this, I feel like I say it every single time, but maybe that's the point. You know, it's what you do with it.
Yeah.
It is what you do with it. And again, if you say, you know what, I'm going to let that thing drag me down, it's going to drag you down. And if you say whatever that thing is has taught me a lesson, or it's given me inspiration, or it's made me realize that change needs to happen, I'm going to be the person to make that change. The world is a better place for that.
You know, and one thing about that too, I see people do is, like, when you see a lot of people, especially the workplace and stuff like that, when they see someone succeed, they have a real hard time with it because they get jealous. They feel like that it's taking attention off them. And I always say, if all your friends are succeeding, you are the company you keep.
That's right.
And so, you know, if everyone around you is succeeding and you're the common denominator, chances are you're a pretty damn good person. So when you lift each other up and look at the positive of those things, it's a lot easier. It's so much easier on the mind and the body and the physicality part of it. You know, stress is so nasty, you know.
It's so nasty. I'm going to refer back to that book by the Dalai Lama and our Bishop Desmond Tutu. It's called The Book of Joy.
Okay.
And there's one piece in it that says, be compassionate to those who harm you, for they are creating the suffering of their future self.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's about karma. It's really about karma. You know, if you're being mean to somebody, it's going to come back to you. Just like the kindness comes back to you tenfold, so will insincerity and harm and just meanness.
There's so much out there, especially right now with everything going on in the world and with the government. And there's, you know, I'm not saying who's right and wrong, and I'm not saying which side is good or bad. I'm just saying that one side is not being good and one side is not being right. And, you know, it's sad because it's affecting so many people's attitudes. I've never had so many people block each other and not talk to their family members because of the hate and the negativity in the world. But it's so strong right now. It scares me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
People are so, you know.
The blatant hatred, the blatant hatred and mistreatment and anger and rudeness, and we've lost our sense of common decency.
Right.
Kevin, we're yakking away. Please.
No. This is great. Jeff, I didn't want to interrupt because I'm going to refocus this just slightly, because I love the conversation, but I really want to hear your story. We've been asking everyone that's come on to tell their pricked story. So how were you pricked, and how did you overcome that?
And you don't have to be clean, Jeff.
Oh no,
Jeff,
absolutely not.
You do not have to.
Girl, I know me some pricks in this lifetime, let me tell you. But I'm not going to hurt those because you know what? They don't deserve the time. So someone that I'm going to say was a prick, and I'm not going to use the term, necessarily prick, but my mother.
Oh,
I grew up
really?
in a very, I grew up with a mother who was, I want to say a narcissist to a point where, I dealt with all of her, everything that she was going through, all the emotional stuff, the baggage. My mom was very like large woman. She lost a lot of weight, but I dealt with her obesity. I dealt with her, every time I heard my dad got in a fight, I had to deal with her emotional baggage and stuff like that. And so anytime she had the problem, I heard about it. And so dealing with your mom's issues when you're like a 7, 8, 9 years old, that's a lot to take on as a child, and then to feel like it's your responsibility to help her fix it, and then when she doesn't, she lashes out. So, and then to find out I was gay, my mother really had a hard time with that. So she disowned me for a while. And I thought I always have this saying, we have a choice in life to be a better person or a bitter person.
Yes.
And I did not let my mother ever, I found myself once in a while going into that trap of becoming my mother because that's what I knew. And then one day I became her so much that I someone I didn't like. So I used that as the opportunity to change my life and look at that as a lesson. People oftentimes become the person that they don't like the abuse. If you see abuse in your family, you become an abuser. But you have a choice not to be that person. So I use it as an example of what not to do and how to treat people. And so my mother's prickiness taught me the opposite.
Nice.
I love that. That's a great lesson to learn because that applies broadly in many areas because it can be, I'll just say that some of the worst bosses that I have ever had taught me great lessons. And mainly it was just how not to act, how not to treat people, how not to put people down when they're giving their all.
So Kim, you told me something one time. You said something about people that suck the life out of you. We were sitting in front of what's that restaurant we go to for brunch once in a while when you're here? Big Sky.
Yes, Big Sky.
And you talked about the blood suckers, the life suckers that, you have a choice to be around those people. And if you choose to be around those people, you're going to get what you deserve pretty much, And it's, I believe that completely. So.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I said I called Dr. Joyce Brothers one time about my mother. Actually, first time I called Ricky Lake. My mom thought I was joking. I called and told him my mother was so mean. It was because my family was all overweight and I wasn't growing up, so I had to eat twice as much as them because she didn't like the fact. It was just abuse. But I called Ricky Lake, and Ricky Lake called my mother and asked her to be on the show. Oh my God!
Wow.
My mom, oh yeah, no, that didn't happen. But I called Dr. Joyce Brothers, and she said, you have a choice. When you go see your mother, you can leave whenever you want. Go see your mom. But the moment you want to leave, you're allowed to leave, and you don't have to put up with it. You can come and go wherever you want. So it's true. You can be around people like that if you choose to be around them, or you cannot, and you get what you choose. So
well, and Kevin and I were having a conversation about this before you came online, and that was when something happens to you. Are you responding to that person or are you responding to the situation? Right. Are you letting that person drag you down or are you taking what has been done and understanding that a process is broken or a system is broken, or if there is somebody who is blatantly doing something and getting away with it at work, then there is a process that's broken within the HR system. Right. And so it's up to you then to say, one, I'm not going to be like that if you're a leader or whatever, or just people in everyday life. And two, I'm going to work to make a change in the HR system so that doesn't happen to other people.
And that's happened before too. I always tell people, what, when I see something like that, I go to them, I say, I'm really disappointed that you put me in this position to have to say something to somebody because, that's your job, your duty as an employer in the workplace. But people like that don't deserve a job like, where you're working at. And I have no problem being that. I saw this, but yeah, you're right.
I love that. So one of the most amazing things about you, Jeff, is you are authentically you 100% of the time. Has it always been that way for you?
No, because I was really ashamed. I went through a big spill of dishonesty because I was trying to hide who I was. I had a boyfriend named Patrick who I told my mom was Patricia, you know, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And so the dishonesty came and it consumed me. You have to keep files on what you tell this person. It's so draining.
Yeah.
So once I realized, you know what, that was too much for me to take on, was to be somebody every time I saw someone, a different face. I mean, 20 people a night, I mean, that's a lot of work, you know? So
Yeah.
when you narrow it down just to be the one person you have to do, it's hard enough being yourself as it is to imagine being 20 people. So
Right.
I enjoy it. I have no problem walking down the street. We went to New York right before this happened. We saw Chicago. Afterwards, I had a couple cocktails. I was in the middle of the street doing the entire Chicago score in front of the, you know, it was a blast.
Ah!
And I don't care what people say, you know, as long as I'm not hurting anybody and I'm not doing anything bad, you know, then who cares? You know, life is too short.
Jeff, what's your favorite song to sing?
I love me some, I'm a big band guy. Frank Sinatra, Bobby Darin.
Yeah.
That shot, Smack the Knife, and New York, and
Listen,
kind of
you've
stuff.
got to sing us a song. Will you sing us a song?
Oh,
Would you? Come on, please. I'll beg.
God, Kim.
I know I'm putting you on the spot, but you'll do it.
We just got back from my rehearsal for my thing, and my theme this year is Through the Years by Kenny, you know, and so I'm singing that song at the end. But I'm a little nasally today, Kim. Don't put me on the spot.
Oh, come on. Listen, you break out song, you sing the birthday song like
I
it's
know.
a major opera.
Okay.
You just do it on the spot. Here you go.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay, I got me some music right here too, Kim.
Oh, good.
So I need to come see your house too. I haven't been over there yet.
Yeah, you and John both. What the heck?
Is that where you're at right now?
Yes, in my backyard.
I love it.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so Kim, can we do this next time, honey?
Yes, we
Okay,
do it next time.
yeah, because next time I'm just so not
I'm
prepared. and I have to go
disappointed.
to my-
I'm seriously disappointed.
Are you disappointed?
don't
Happy
have to own
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kim. Happy birthday to you.
You
Well,
are
thank
so
you, Jeff.
amazing. Oh my
You're
gosh, I
nuts.
can't even
Love
tell
you.
you how much I miss you.
I miss you too. I can't wait to see your face. And it's nice to meet you.
Oh,
One
you
of
as
my
well.
adopted mothers tonight. She's like a adopted mother to me. You met her, Chris Fazio.
Yes.
It's her 70th birthday tonight. She thinks only her and I are going to dinner. I called 6 of her closest friends. They're all going to meet her for dinner tonight at the restaurant. So
Aw.
I want to be over there to see her face when she sees them all. So
Well, wonderful. You run over, give her hugs and loves for me as well. Tell
I will.
everybody, the whole gang down there, how much I miss them, and hopefully I can see you guys all soon.
we'll see you very soon. Nice to meet you. And bye. But your dog's name was
Tucker,
Bye,
he's
Tucker.
new. Actually, he's 2 now. Time flies.
Well,
all right, girl. I love
nice
you.
to meet you, Jeff. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and join us. And yeah, we hope to catch you for a full episode soon.
Yeah.
And I'll
Love to have
pass
you
on the
back.
word. You guys are on every
Tuesday.
Tuesday at 4.
every Tuesday. I'll pass it on.
But we're also putting it on the YouTube channel Pricked, and so people can subscribe to the YouTube channel
And
as well.
I'll put that on my Facebook too as well.
All right, wonderful.
Love you guys.
I
Talk to you
love
soon.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. How do I turn it off?
You just go to the very top. There. Is he not the most amazing person?
That was funny.
Oh
That was awesome.
my God. Like every single time, I sound like my daughter. No, that's not true. I'm not going to put that on her. Like. When she was little, we had a like jar. And so every time she said the word like, she'd have to put a quarter in the like jar. And
Yeah.
she stopped saying like really quickly. Every now and again, it slips out of my
Yeah.
mouth. And I think, what am I, 12? Where did that come from? Jeff is just an amazing human being. Can you feel the spirit coming off of him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Always open, giving. The man never stops giving.
Wow.
And it just doesn't matter what situation he is in, what's going on in his life. When he reaches out, he demands your attention right now. Come talk to me. but he's always got something amazing on the other end of the line.
Nice.
Yeah, just incredible.
Kevin Unlocked is watching.
Kevin Unmock, big hugs. Oh my gosh, we miss you.
That we do. Hello, Kevin. So I wanted to touch on something that that Jeff said and you echoed about kindness and returning tenfold. So we've now got a theme going because Pete was talking about the same thing last week with shalom.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. You cannot you can't fight negativity with negativity. You can only meet it with shalom.
It's absolutely right. And you know what? Here's another thing too. So Ellen DeGeneres has been talking about kindness. Be kind to one another. She promotes kindness, and she was recently, her studio, her production company was recently called out for harassment in the workplace.
Right.
You know, and she spoke to it on Facebook and Instagram, and I thought she did a really good job about saying, you know, my name is on this company. I am the leader of this company, and we admit things were not going well for people, and it's up to me to understand and know those things, but not knowing them is not an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of now I know them, and so action is being taken, and we are creating a different culture. That also comes from a place of kindness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't always 110% know. Are you responsible for knowing when you're a leader? Yes, and yet life happens. There are many, many people who work for you.
Right.
And if somebody is doing something and it's not being brought forth, you may not know. But when it is brought forth, it's your responsibility
Sure.
to take action. And that's really how I feel, according to what she is portraying to the world. I really feel like that's what she's doing and owning. Getting back to it, for the 17 years that she's been on air, she has perpetuated kindness and done acts of kindness for people and sought out stories of other people being kind to others, and then she was kind to them.
Right.
And if we had more of that mentality in the world, it would be an amazing, much more amazing place. Did you have another point that you were going to make around that?
No. I was looking down at Kevin commented. Hi, you two. This is great. Jeff is quite a guy.
He is quite a guy. He is absolutely quite a guy.
Yeah.
Just absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Now, the only other thing I wrote down, other than his quote, was what he seemed to be saying. I don't remember if he said it out loud, but we need to focus on gratitude. So being kind, acting kind, doing kind and generous things, loving our neighbor, it all has to come from a place of gratitude. And I think about this daily. I'm in many respects, the world would not consider me a wealthy person, but just by, we've talked about this, just by virtue of my zip code, I'm in the top 1% of all of the people in the world. I have a lot going for me in that respect, but I also have a wealth of friends. I have, a family that I love and loves me. I have, all of my needs are met. I consider myself very fortunate, and I try to stay grounded in gratitude. And I think that when you come from a place of gratitude, it's much easier or much harder to be negative about everything else. It kind of forces out jealousy. How can you be grateful for what you have and still be jealous of what somebody else has?
Right.
It just, same thing, maintain kindness, but come from a place of gratitude and live a happier life. So on Friday, I was in Copperfields, loved the new store.
Oh, me too. Great.
And
it's a bookstore. It's an actual bookstore.
It's an actual bookstore.
You can go in and pick up the book.
It's phenomenal, right? Love Amazon, but there's nothing like touching a hardcover from time to time. So I'm trying to choose because I know, and we talked about last week before, this was before RBG passed. And I was looking at the book thinking, oh, we should, because we were talking about what we're going to talk about today. And I thought it'd be a great time to talk about RBG. And I was debating, am I going to pick up this book on RBG, or am I going to pick up this book on the Dalai Lama? And the Dalai Lama went out. So, and it's
Which one did you pick up?
the first one, the interview on
It's
happiness.
not the Book of Joy.
No, on happiness. I can't think of the whole title.
Oh. I am a person of age.
Right, yeah, I'm there too.
But I am
Right
going to pick
there.
up Desmond Tutu and his daughter. They wrote a book on forgiveness that I'm
Oh,
going to pick up
okay.
and see where that common thread is
Yeah.
as well.
Okay.
So you picked up the book by the Dalai Lama.
I did, and I read about 20 or so pages, and then lost it.
You lost the
I
book.
lost the book.
You left it somewhere?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Hence the term lost.
I thought well, it could have meant that you lost it because it was so touching and so emotional that you lost it. Gosh, this is the best thing ever. It could have been that.
I so wanted to comment on it today, and I couldn't. I had no way to reference
Well,
it.
that's a big old prick that you lost your book.
Right. Shows my age.
Well, that's a prick too, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
It can be. All right, I'm going to read you another quote.
Please.
Okay, so this is the Pocket RBG Wisdom Book. Supreme quotes and inspired musings from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I just love this little book. I'm a huge quote fan. The world will soon discover, but she states, I think unconscious bias is one of the hardest things to get at. My favorite example is the symphony orchestra. When I was growing up, there were no women in orchestras. Auditioners thought they could tell the difference between a woman playing and a man. Some intelligent person devised a simple solution. Drop a curtain between the auditioners and let the people trying out. Oh wait, drop a curtain between the auditioners and the people trying out. My apologies, I read that incorrectly. And lo and behold, women began to get jobs in the symphony orchestras. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
I just read that story somewhere else.
Well, there's so much out right now because of her passing. The thing that amazes me is until her dying breath, she was still advocating for justice, still advocating for equity.
Right.
On her deathbed, she was saying, don't appoint my replacement until after the election, kind of in concert with what happened when Barack Obama was leaving office,
Right.
and he made, his nomination choice, but Mitch McConnell would not send it to the Senate for vote. And yet they're turning around and doing exactly that now, which to me is the definition of hypocrisy.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that there are people out there who would argue differently. It feels wrong to me.
Yeah, I agree.
It absolutely feels wrong.
I agree.
And there are organizations out there working to, sign petitions for what it's worth. I mean, it allows people to have a voice. Move On is one of those organizations. And I know that there are many others out there trying to advocate to support her last wish and to support that equity, which Ruth Bader Ginsburg again says, when will you have achieved equity, gender equity? And she said, when there are, 9 justices that are female sitting in the Supreme Court, because currently there are 2 now that she is gone.
Yeah.
Are there 2? Wait a minute. Sandra Day O'Connor retired.
It's Sotomayor
Yes.
and I thought there were 3 also.
We'll have to go back and look again.
Yeah.
I've been so polarized by her and her teachings that I've lost my place a little bit with how many there are. So someone is coming through the door. Tucker is alarming.
And we have a comment.
What's it?
Don Brewer, I'm so gonna mispronounce your married name, Rahard.
Yes.
Okay. Says hi.
Hey, Don.
And waves.
Nice to see you.
Let's see, where else were we? So I don't remember.
I
what
can
was
read
saying.
another quote.
Actually, before you do that,
Yeah.
so talk a little bit about how and why she became your hero.
So Ruth Bader Ginsburg, from the onset of her career as a lawyer, not in law school, because she was one of very few women who was actually able to go to law school. And when she got out of law school, she couldn't find a job as a lawyer. No one would hire her because she was female. So she became a teacher at Columbia. I believe that is correct. And the first case that she tried in front of, I think it was actually the Supreme Court, was for gender equity, but it was for a man who was taking care of his mother, and he was applying to receive caretaker benefits and was being denied based on his gender.
Huh.
So she is fighting for gender equity. She's not fighting just because you're a woman, you need to X, Y, and Z. She's fighting for equity and equality, meaning we all should have the same opportunity and rights.
Right.
And how things are interpreted, it kind of ties back to what you were saying at kind of the opening of the show, which is, if you look at the way that some of our laws are written, they are written expressly against Black people, against women. I mean, for God's sakes, we haven't even been able to vote for very long.
Right.
We haven't been able to, hold our own mortgage for very long.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that they have to write when I buy a home, that I'm a married woman or an unmarried woman, what does that have to do with anything? My home, I own it, bottom line, regardless. So the fact that she has been doing that for all of these years, I mean, since the 50s, when it was unheard of, to have any dialogue like this, like women were to be home, taking care of their family and, having babies, and, oh, you don't worry your pretty little head about those things. She was out there fighting for equality. And so how can I not? How can I not hold her of the highest esteem?
Right.
And you know why else? Because she had a voice, and she used that voice, and she wasn't afraid to speak up. She did it in a way that people listened. I'm a little gregarious. I speak in a way that sometimes people say, not going to listen.
we got confirmation from Mr. Unlock, Elena Kagan.
Elena Kagan.
Yeah, she's the other one.
Got it. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
For having our back. You need to be our fact checker on this show. That would be amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're getting to that place. We're going to have to, bring on producers and fact checkers. My limited memory. I swear I need to take some ginkgo biloba or something to get my memory rolling. Exercise and eating right doesn't seem to be enough.
It's funny. I at work I'm known as the king of trivial facts.
Useless knowledge?
Useless knowledge. Yeah. Totally.
Uh-huh.
I've got all that going for me. But yeah, ask me how many women are on the Supreme Court. Forget about it.
That'd be useful knowledge.
That would be useful. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So, talk about your other hero, the Dalai Lama.
Oh my gosh. So I am so enamored with the Dalai Lama. I am enamored with him because of the way he views life, because of the way that he, says, I can focus. It's exactly what we're talking about. He says, I can focus on all of the horrible things that have happened in my life, to me personally, to the country that I am responsible for.
And exiled from.
Right. The fact that I was exiled, the fact that he says, but if I focus on that, I don't have the energy or the perspective of focusing on all of the good that has come from being exiled and where that put me in the world as far as being a person of influence.
Right.
And how I could use that strife for change and for positivity, which gives me chills, because that's the whole idea behind Pricked, which came before I read the Book of Joy, which the Book of Joy has so any thoughts that are in alignment with the idea that this movement is all about. And that is, we've all been pricked. We've all encountered issues and strife and pain and sorrow and been victims, and we have the choice to do things differently. And if we come together
He's getting closer to the door.
with the red thread of humanity, we come together with that red thread of humanity and find our commonality, we can do a lot more together than we can do individually, not liking one another.
Right.
Or blaming one another.
So we've been saying since the first show that we would love to have you all join in the conversation. Tell us your stories of being pricked. You can reach us through this stream. You can certainly reach us through Facebook. My email address is on my Facebook account. I'm sure yours is.
Yeah, mine is as well, although it's super simple. It's kim@kimbrownsims.com.
Yeah.
So that makes it pretty easy. But do reach out. And if you want to be a guest on the show, we are looking for some guests, and we really want to focus on some high profile guests to help get the word out about this. So if you are a high profile guest, I would argue everyone is a high profile guest.
I believe
honestly.
everyone is. Yeah.
Someone who has a large following who can help influence more conversations like this. I would love to talk with them.
Yeah. And it is. At this point, it's a conversation. It's the beginning of a movement to create change, positive change in the world, to really affect a global mindset shift in how we treat each other. This is about this show is about compassion and how do we get past the things that are holding us down. Stop that. Whether it's a physical ailment, whether it's I was going to say institutional racism, racist policies, whether it's sexism. There's so many stories out there. Everyone has been pricked, and we want to hear those stories and help lead a movement to change those policies, change those mindsets, overcome those pricks if they're people.
Well, they don't, when you say overcoming pricks, the whole idea behind that, when that came forward, it kind of just came out of my mouth one day. I was having conversation with a dear friend, and I just said, the idea that I have really is how you overcome the pricks of life.
Right.
And this person said to me, well, right there's the title of your book, Overcoming Pricks. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And the book really, the book just needs to be the story of all of our stories.
Yeah. That's
really, when we ever get to that place, that's really what it's going to be, is just a reflection of all the amazing things that have happened. It's that idea of turning lemons into lemonade.
Yeah.
So,
I like it.
I like it too. All right. Well, so
How'd we do on time today?
I know that we have a couple of guests coming up. We should just have Tucker on, because I think he just wants to be the guest all the time. Oh, he's got the zoomies. Oh boy. We do have a couple of amazing guests coming up. Tim Agnello from Sourced Craft Cocktails is going to be on. He started a magnanimous big business in this virtual world, and so we're going to hear more about that. And we have a few other people too, but I'm not going to let the cat out.
All right.
But
it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great journey.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin. Well,
I think it's time to sign off.
I think it's time to sign off too. And Ellen always says, "Be kind." What should our sign off be?
Oh, we have to come up with a sign off.
We have to come up with a sign off.
Yeah.
Don't be a prick.
Don't be a prick. I'm still on Brian Copeland's. Be kind to your neighbor. He knows where you live.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week. Same bat time. Same bat
channel. Take care. Be well.